Hey gamer, or should I say adult, do you want a Dark Souls game but anime? No? Well, you're in luck, because code main is exactly that.
Hey, stop! Why? I just don't get it.
Now that I've beaten this game, I can tell you if it is worth getting and spending your time in. I've seen many critics criticize this game for the wrong reasons or outrage baiting. Did I just break? Uh-oh. So do the big scary enemy titties get in the way of enjoying the game?
Ah! Oh my god!
No. Yes, unrealistic, and yes, certainly gross at times, but you already knew what you were getting yourself into when buying a Japanese role-playing-esque game. But enough about all that. Let's talk about what matters, which is the game. Which, fair warning, this game takes time to warm up to you, and for the story it really takes time to grasp you in. Also, same goes for the gameplay, if this is your first Souls experience. So let's break down this game. So I wanted to start off with the gameplay for a few reasons, because one, it's not too spoilery like talking about the story, and two, I feel like it's mostly why you're getting this game. So talking towards the gameplay, you use square to attack and... yeah, I won't bore you to death with the mechanics. You've played a game before, you understand what buttons do and all that, and rip that astral chain video. I'll probably remake it at some point in the future when I go back to the game. So basically this is a 1-to-1 with the Souls games, with a few exceptions, which is your Revenant superpowers and a lot more forgiving from what I understand of Souls, which I haven't really played Souls. However, I've seen gameplay, so I understand how it works to an extent. So in this being a Souls clone comes the fabulous sprint meter or energy meter, which I honestly can't stand, especially this being an anime game where quite a few things are unrealistic. It is a necessary evil to reduce spam. I think it's just due to the other action games that I've played, why it annoys me so much. However, it becomes less annoying once you start leveling up and upgrading your gear. So I don't think it's bad, just an annoyance to me, especially coming from the Kingdom Hearts series. Now talking towards the Revenant superpowers, which are very useful against normal enemies, but that's only going up behind the enemy and pressing square/X, which takes away most of their health. Holding X/A, however, just doesn't really do much damage, and it's a higher risk reward because you have to charge it. And with my experience, it doesn't really do as much damage as going up behind an enemy would do. So what I found myself mostly doing was just going up behind enemies, take away most of their health, then finish them off with normal attacks, then sometimes going up behind them again and pressing X. So it's a little bit of a broken mechanic that more so destroys the enemies, but it helps me get used to this combat system. And since I haven't really played a Souls experience before other than me playing Dark Souls 1 and trying to go up against the first boss and instantly rage quitting, so I'm like, what am I supposed to do? I'm not doing any damage. It helped me get through this game, and so the Easy Souls clone, I guess, is a preferable name for this game, if that makes sense, or an easier Souls clone. However, the bosses are the more challenging aspect of this game because you can't actually do this. You can parry though, which is very useful to get easy hits on the enemy, but like I said, Revenant powers are kind of useless holding the A/X button and trying to use them in comparison on holding the Y button, which gives you a stronger attack, which will do far more damage than that Revenant power. Maybe you have to hold it for longer than you initially charge it to actually be able to use it, but that's just from my experience, so it may differ from me to you. or to someone else. My main complaint is some bosses have the stupid blood attack after they attack, so it makes you panic and get hit without realizing it. It's particularly annoying when fighting bosses with very long swords and wanting to go for an attack. So how I countered this was essentially staying close to the enemy and not going too far away and dodge when that boss went to attack to avoid that blood attack. Lastly, about the combat system, vestiges are very essential for you to unlock more abilities, which I don't think I really talked about throughout this entire breakdown of the combat system. So, abilities, you have about 8 slots to fill, which, sure, it sounds like a lot, but then you look at your MP and then you're like, oh, I can't really use all of these to my advantage unless I regain my MP back by using my Revenant superpowers or killing them singly, which only gives you 1, I think, usually, from what I recall. Anyways, this directly correlates within the story, which is the next portion I'm about to talk about, so give me a second here. This is borderline social links because you're unlocking abilities by getting that person's vestige that pertains to that person. So it's on the verge of a social link-esque thing. Alright, my logic is flawed, I know, but just let me have this. Let me just have this theory so that I can explain this properly. So once you unlock someone's full social link, you get all their abilities, but wait, you have to use that particular skill on that class, which there are classes pertaining to that character, or you can lock it with the awake things, I'll call them. I don't feel like calling them by their name, but you get my point to an extent. They're basically social link-esque things that you can use that character's class or unlock it the other way without doing the requirements that you need to unlock that ability, which is usually killing enemies. But I digress. Social links are in Code Vein. Code Persona Anime Souls. Or Code Persona Souls? I think that would go better, but you get my point here. Or you probably don't. I don't get my points at all sometimes. So enough about the gameplay, on to the story. The story is slow at the start, but I think it's meant to be, which I can see why many people probably quit after the first few hours. After you get past the maze, the story really starts to get interesting, at least for me when I got the vestige about my character's past, because that made me feel that my character had direct engagement in the story. Like, my character wasn't just some silent throwaway protagonist, like, it felt like my character mattered, which is big for games to do this, in my opinion at least. A lot of the game is told through vestiges, which may sound bad, but no, actually it's quite unique, and I wasn't really expecting the voice acting to be so well done and engaging with them, for the most part at least.
It's dry, isn't it?
But you walking in the areas that the events are taking place in is such a nice touch. Sure, they could have done this all through cutscenes, but I don't think it would have been the same. But that brings me to my next topic, cutscenes in the story. They are a bit rough, which I mean, a bit too anime-y, if that makes sense. It's just hard to take them serious moments serious when the movement and the camera is too stiff, with the added effect of the music too. I don't know, it was just something that I felt very meh about, but like I said, after these rough beginning segments, the cutscenes get a lot better for the most part. So I do recommend the story even with these rough edges. Just keep in mind it takes time for you to like it, and can be a bit vague sometimes, but it's still a likable story. So now let's talk about the scenery. So the environments are just so gorgeous. Now, of course, it's Unreal Engine 4, which every game is using now, which I feel like there's like a monopoly going on behind the scenes. But I digress. The visuals are very, very stunning. I especially like the snow area because it really, really looked good. I even based an outfit off of that area for my character, which I felt like that was probably the best creation I've made with the clothes. Which, don't worry, next we're getting into character customization, but just in general, this game definitely immerses you into actually thinking a great collapse happened with how the cities are and how that deadly hole is. Anyways, I will stop talking. Here's some footage of the scenery. Lastly, character customization. Now, I didn't exactly use this feature, and I was planning on using it more, but the problem with that was, once you create a character, you're forced to use the same face throughout the entire playthrough of your game, which is saddening. But you can still adjust the eyes, etc., hair, whatever. But it's just that small feature kind of was like, I want to change my character's face just to see if it looks better with that face, the other face, you know. I think it's just due to how the game is and how it's coded, so they don't want to have face glitches during cutscenes, which seems to be a trend ever since Assassin's Creed Unity. So hopefully this feature gets added in through a patch or something, because that's something that I would like to see, but who knows, it just could be how the game's scripted, so not too confident in that happening. But the character customization in general is insane. People have remade anime characters, video game characters. It's quite cool, so do not underestimate it, despite the flaws that I'm saying. I didn't really use it all that much, and there's like a lot that you can do. Also, accessories is definitely a big thing. You can put hair on top of hair, which is weird, but hey, it's there if you want it, but you are limited slots for some reason. I feel like it would probably screw with gameplay if you had too many things on, but I'm not too sure. Now, my last complaint with the character customization is just the clothes options. There really isn't much there that I particularly felt satisfied with. Now, changing the colors and kind of making my own unique design, I felt more comfortable doing, but it was just really laxsome, and I guess the options you had available. Now, again, people have remade characters, etc., but still I felt the clothes to be still laxsome in what choices I had. Which it does seem with the DLC they are adding more, but I got the game on PC, so I can just mod it, thank you very much. Other than my complaints and the flaws that I named with the character customization, it is still a damn solid character customization. Is probably one of the best to come out this year. So do not underestimate it, despite the complaining that I'm doing. And to be fair, I was kind of lame with it, because I just remade my avatar that I used for my socials, so yeah. But I mean, it came out really good, and I was pretty satisfied with the overall results that I could do. I'm sure that any of you could do better, but I probably just suck at using it, to be honest. Anyways, this will bring us to the end of the video. So I did have quite a lot of fun playing this game, and I really was not expecting to make this length of a review and edit so damn much of this review. And you know, I actually did really like this game, and I cared enough to go back and get the gameplay and edits it. So I think that's big, and it's a big win, in my opinion, for a game to interest me so much, if that makes sense, in a game that I really was expecting to. And like, don't get me wrong here, I'm not selling out for Bandai Namco. I generally, when I look at Bandai Namco game, especially Jump Force, I was just like, is this game finished? So I just have a stigma against Bandai Namco games for some reason. I'm not too sure. I feel like it's just because they have so much coming through that when I see their just stuff, I'm just like, or maybe I've seen too much of their stuff, so I just have a stigma against them. So Code Vein is definitely a good game. Just takes a while for yourself to get adjusted to the combats and how irky the story can be. Other than that, I think it's a good game that you definitely should get if you're looking for a challenging game with not a BS combat, for the most part, not BS combat system like in Kingdom Hearts 3, which I feel like you might have seen my video ranting about that and me just sucking at critical mode. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video and care enough to leave a like, it's very much appreciated, and if you want to subscribe to see more content, if YouTube will show you my content, please be sure to subscribe and smash that bell button. Yeah, I don't like saying it. You probably haven't even made it to this far in the video. Yeah, do what you will. If you just subscribe, it's good enough, but I just hate the fact that YouTube has this bell notification system. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.